Well, it's June 15th and the heat index is over 100 now, which means I can't go outside and I can't take my dogs outside. So, for this episode, I'm going to sort of wax nostalgic, shall we say, because I just got a message a couple days ago on Facebook that basically my last watering hole that I was a regular at in New York City, the Holland Bar, which was, we had a fucking memo here. I gotta write memory things down here. The Holland Bar was at 532 9th Avenue, right in the heart of Hell's Kitchen. Basically right behind Port Authority. And it was like maybe time stood still for 10 blocks either way, shall we say, because basically that area was still stuck in the 70s. And the Holland Bar was a dive bar, and the bar seemed to have been constructed out of old 50s linoleum-topped kitchen tables. And I had started hanging out there. I got to go back a little bit, the whole thing of hanging in dive bars and drinking and stuff like that. Well, sort of started, back when I was younger, because my father drank beer and smoked cigarettes, and, his friends drank beer and smoked cigarettes, so of course I'm going to try to emulate this myself, which led to a taste for alcohol. And, back then, the drinking age in New York was 18, the drinking age in New Jersey was 21. So we would go over, we were about 16 years old. We'd go over to the village. There was a couple bars in the village, the back fence, Whitey's, and some other places. But we would go to the back fence because we heard we could get served there. Well, we could. But, we'd go in, here's these 6 guys from Jersey going into a bar. And, of course, they'd ask for ID, which we didn't have. We left it home. So we would be ushered into this side room where we could buy a pitcher of beer like the adults do for $3.50, and the pitcher of beer on the other side was probably $1.50. But nevertheless, we got to drink in a real bar. And one of the guys I was with noticed that there was a cockroach doing the backstroke in his beer mug, and he yelled, "There's a bug in my beer." And I said, "Shut the fuck up, just get it out and drink around it. The alcohol killed the germs." Because we didn't want to be, kicked out of the whole thing. So, of course, that led to other bars going back and forth. Like I said, my watering hole back in the day was Club 44 on 44th Street, beer in a shot joint, regular guys coming in, thieves, murderers, killers, whatever, that type of thing. Then, like I said, there was Club 45, which was a tourist trap because it pretty much had a couple scenes from Midnight Cowboy and the Owl and the Pussycat shot there. There was another bar, a sort of a pimp bar with disco music or funk music playing called the Wagon Wheel, which was okay if you were just sitting in there and nursing a drink, but the minute, you decided you weren't interested in what people were selling, they'd get downright hostile, so you'd leave. Then, closer to home in Lyndhurst, there was Monahan's, a.k.a. the Linford, which was another dive bar, and the Lyndhurst Lounge, which was affectionately called the Zoo because a bunch of animals hung out in it. The Lyndhurst Lounge was the first bar that people openly smoked weed at the bar. They would mark their quarters on the pool tables by putting either a cigarette butt or a burnt roach on them. All kinds of crazy shit happened in there. My boss at Sunrise Texaco was a regular there, as was his assistant, Turk, who was a good friend of mine. And all kinds of crazy shit happened in there. But, going back to New York, when we were running, the shows at the Pioneer Theater, Lee Peterson, Rob Housechild, and Keith Crocker and myself, there was a bar down the street called the Double Down. I also understand there's another doppelganger of the Double Down out in, I think it's Las Vegas or something like that. But it was a dive punk bar that had midget porn running on TV sets, something weird video trailers, all kinds of cool shit. So, spent many a night there and, closed it down. I guess the last show we ran with the Pioneer was, I can't remember the date, but the last show we ran was on Halloween night, and we ran Night of the Living Dead at midnight. And that was our last shot at the Pioneer, and probably the last time I went into the Double Down. another bar on 14th Street, which I went to many times because my friend's band, the Ubangis, was playing in the back there. Otto's was a tiki bar, a weird tiki bar, and when we were promoting Unconventional, we were over there all the time, pushing it up, and I don't think I ever paid for a drink in that time. I kept going back to see bands and stuff, and it was all cool. I also met, who's now a good friend of mine, Susanna there. I'm not going to go into detail about that happened, but anyway, while we were doing these shows, couple of these young ladies walked in. It was weird because we were doing these, we brought porn back actually. I brought a John Holmes film back to the big screen after 25 years of no porn on the big screen in New York, Dear Pam. And these two girls were in attendance. Well, after the Pioneer had shut down due to the fact that they wanted $25,000 a month, one of these girls, Serena, contacted me and said, we had a great time at these shows. Can we meet you for a drink? Well, I'm thinking, okay, these girls are in their 20s. I'm hitting like late 40s about then. So I got a hold of my buddy Rob and I said, well, here's the thing. And he goes, well, you know what? Let's meet him at my office because he had an office in New York and we'll see how it goes from there and, we'll see if they're cool. Because, of course, my mind figured set up younger girls, whatever. Wasn't to be the case. They were true fans and became good friends. And the bar we wound up hanging out in was the Holland. And like I said, behind Port Authority, shot in a beer joint. If you walk to the corner of the block, there was a place selling pizza for $1 a slice. So you'd throw the guy $10, take a whole pie, walk back and sit in the window of, the Holland and eat it. So the one thing that does stick out in my mind is that it was my birthday and people want to take me out for my birthday, so I decided to meet him at the Holland. So I looked behind the bar, and there was a dusty bottle of blackberry brandy, and I hadn't had blackberry brandy in years. Well, I soon found out why I hadn't had blackberry brandy in years. So the girls show up, I'm drinking shots of blackberry, they're drinking shots of blackberry, we're all drinking shots of blackberry. We kill the fucking thing. And one of the barflies there looks at the girls and goes, it's really nice that you took your dad out for his birthday. So I'm like, you know something? We can work this. Now, here's a picture of that night reserved that we had taken in the bar, and look at my face, I'm shit-faced. The girl on the left-hand side is Serena, the girl on the right-hand side is Catherine. And we passed them off as my daughters. We came up with this whole angle, we had them on my radio show for a while as my daughters. I brought them up to Cinema Wasteland twice as my daughters, and nobody figured it out. And we are still in touch, at least Serena and I are, because they sort of they were curious about the business, but I didn't want to get them into the whole shitty aspect of the whole business. So I got them on one of my DVDs, this one, which was basically pinup loops, Busty Bombshells of the Atomic Age, which basically has 50 classic loops, 3 hours of content, and it's all Joe Bonika's stuff, who... if you want to look up Joe not only did these, but he shot all the atomic bomb test footage back in the 50s. So I got them involved to get on this DVD here. So, segueing back right now, Catherine's in and out, but Serena is a licensed mental health counselor, and we stay in touch. And I couldn't be prouder of them than I would be proud of my actual daughters. So, yeah, that was sort of, the segue. We hung out there, and it just, a shame that, all these places, as far as I know, I'm not so sure about the Double Down in Otto's Shrunken Head, but they're all gone now. And, like I said, back then, drinking was my thing. I don't condone drinking. I don't condone drinking to excess. I use myself as a bad example because I was out and out fucking stupid back then and did some stupid shit. Like creating a drink called the Silver Bullet, which isn't a can of beer. It was 2 shots of tequila over 1 shot of white cream to mint on the rocks. And I called it the Silver Bullet. Drink a bunch of them and people will be telling stories about you until you die, which is what happened. We did dumb shit in the bar because we felt we owned the bar. And we would, basically if a bartender dissed us or fucked with us, we'd, try to get even. And, go back to my buddy Big Al, we were big on getting even. So this one guy was basically being a scumbag to us. So we came up with this thing where, I don't know if you guys remember Campbell's vegetarian vegetable soup, but if you opened the condensed can, it looked and smelled like puke, which was good for getting out of school because I'd open a can, smear some of it on the fucking toilet seat, and tell my mother I got sick, and I ditched the can already so I'd beat school. So me and Big Al concocted this fucking scheme where I got a hot water bottle, mixed up the soup with hot water so it was steaming, and shoved the water bottle down my shirt. So they had, I don't know, pretzels or some kind of bread or a sandwich at the bar. So Al orders food, and I'm like this, going, oh man, I don't fucking feel so good, this and that and the other thing, and I'm bunching up my coat. And I sort of hunch over the bar and push up the bottom of the hot water bottle, and all the crap comes out, and it's on the bar, and it's steaming and smoking, and then Big Al goes over and dips his spread in it and starts eating it. Of course, we got kicked out of the fucking bar. It's a disgusting thing to do, but, you know, we did a bunch of shit like that. And, you know, I gotta say, I honestly can't say that I was an alcoholic, but I was pretty much of an asshole back then as far as the drinking goes, because I would get off work at 11 at night and walk across the street to Monahan's, the Linford Lounge, and basically kill a fifth of tequila from 11 till 2 o'clock and then fucking drive home. I did this for roughly a year and a half. I was lucky I didn't get killed, and like I'm saying, don't do anything I'm discussing right now because you will get fucked up. And unfortunately, a lot of my friends back then did get fucked up, did let the shit get a hold of them, and sadly they're not here anymore. But yeah, we did a lot of crazy shit back then. And you know, I used to like, you know, listen to some of the old guys when I was growing up and hear their stories. And now I'm one of the old guys telling my stories. But my advice to anybody with, you know, alcohol, drugs, whatever, is never let it get on top of you. I mean, I was a heavy drinker. I stopped. A couple reasons I stopped. I got stupid with somebody and he beat the shit out of me, and that sort of straightened me out for a little bit. But I never went back to the whole, you know, drink a fifth of tequila and drive home. I pretty much mellowed out to beer and wine, maybe sipping some bourbon. But you know, lately I don't do anything but smoke weed. And I always smoked weed, so it's okay, it's all good, and I never heard of anybody overdosing from smoking weed, so that's another thing. So, like I said, I did some stupid shit. I can write about it. It's funny now, but it could have been tragic had it turned the other way. So yeah, I missed the Holland. I missed that blackberry brandy night, and I'm, you know, glad I met these two young ladies because, you know, they were pretty cool to hang out with. They were great, you know, they enjoyed my company, they enjoyed learning about the business from me, and they went on to better things and, you know, careers. So, God bless them. So, again, you know, my advice to anybody, you know, laugh at what I do, but don't emulate it because you'll wind up getting yourself fucking killed, you know? So, all right, that's my waxing nostalgia for today. I miss the old days, and I guess Eddie McHale's probably listening to this, and Ed, you know, you can relate to it too because we both came up together. Different areas of the country, different areas of New Jersey, but we were all into the same shit and all did the same stupid shit, so he knows what I'm talking about, and a bunch of other guys know what I'm talking about. So again, thanks for tuning in, thanks for subscribing. Got more to come, so we'll see you on the flip side. So until then, stay safe.